You've tuned into the Bellingham Podcast for the week of February 24, 2019. This is an episode 112.
That's 112.
From that city by the snowy Sailor Sea, I am AJ Barce.
And defrosting little by little, I am Chris Powell. On this episode, I got two words for you. Watch straps. AJ and I are surveying the landscape of accessories, pretty stylish if I do say so myself, for your timepiece. So strap yourselves in, get it, straps, and get ready. This is the Bellingham Podcast.
Well, I would hate to say we're strapped for time. How you doing, Chris?
I'm just strapped for cash as usual. How's it going, AJ?
Not too bad. As we record this, I'm kind of shaking the magic 8 ball of weather of the Pacific Northwest. Is it going to snow again?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we ain't done yet.
Yeah.
February has a big backhand this whole month, and we're just waiting for March. Please, March, hurry up. We like March. We like you.
Hi, spring. I miss you.
Yes, exactly. We'd love to see the sunshine when it's not 17 degrees. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're talking watch straps.
Sup, watch fam.
Hey, watch fam. Glad to have you join us and everyone else in Bellingham podcast land as well.
So at the top of the show, I want to make a quick announcement. There is going to be a miniseries coming up. I've actually pretty much wrapped production of it-ish. There's a couple of tweaks I need to do. And we have a partnership miniseries. It's a 4-part miniseries right now. Well, kind of 5. This kind of starts the 5-part episode.
The primer, if you will.
The primer, as it is. And it is, the Bellingham Podcast is partnered with the Analog Explorer. Gee.
Yes. Yeah, how about that?
How about that? And what's cool about this new miniseries is I put out a call to a couple of people in the Watch fam that so here's the thing. There is a lot of good quality watch enthusiast content out there.
Amen.
You know, we've mentioned them ad nauseum. And what I wanted to do is kind of refocus a little bit on people, the story, and the watches, as opposed to Basil is great, Rolex is doing this.
This just in.
Yeah, and again, like it's just such an important piece to that culture, and it often kind of gets glazed over, or the stories that are showcased, although really cool, kind of can be a little bit upper echelon. You know, not everybody's John Mayer, sup John. But like, I wanted to bring real people and real watches to kind of the way that we approach podcasting. So the Analog Explorer decided to become a sponsor of a miniseries, and it's going to start airing next weekend.
Very good.
So
with that in mind, let's talk about some watch straps.
Yeah.
Not just the kinds that you come default on a watch that you may pick up.
No, so one of the things I like to always point out to some people is when you see a watch, buy it for the head end, the actual watch part, because if you don't like the strap, go get another one.
And in a lot of cases, it's somewhat affordable.
Yeah.
Very affordable in some cases, and it'll last a heck of a lot longer than what the default stock may be on your timepiece.
Yeah, and you can attest to this, Chris, because you just recently got a tool in the mail.
Yes.
Typically speaking, there's usually 1 or 2 tools that you have to get to change out any atypical watch strap. And basically it's like a little pin that you push on the side if you have a bracelet style, the metal jingly stuff. Mm-hmm. Or if you've got just simple spring bars, usually it's just a little fork looking thing that you push in and against the case, and it just pries it out. Or if you got a really hyper fancy watch, sometimes there's a really, really small screw head. That's the other tool that sometimes you have to do, but very rarely will you see that in the typical watch setting.
Yeah.
How much did that tool run you?
$6 on the bay.
Yeah, like it's not brain surgery. You know?
No, but it's better than using an X-Acto knife,
yes,
like a knucklehead like me used to do in previous iterations that might scratch up the surface of this lovely timepiece.
Right. So I mean, the tool in question is not this is not hard. So if you see a watch, or if you have a watch and you're like, man, I really like this watch, but it's a little bit too tactical, or a little bit.
There's no such thing, by the way.
Okay, valid.
All right.
Or maybe it's a little bit too refined, and you wish that it was on something a little bit more durable, because we're getting into the spring, you're going to be hiking. You can find these tools fairly affordable on Glamazon or the Bay, or also third party, like Worn and Wound actually makes a traveler's version of this. We can put a link in the show notes.
Drink.
There's going to be a lot of that this
we're going to be
episode.
drinking heavily with the show notes, folks. Stay tuned.
So the first thing is, get a tool, have a watch.
That's
Next, pick your style.
And the style, what kinds of style would we be taking a look at if someone is kind of examining, sticking their toe in the horology pool, if you will.
So I look at it between, really, it's two different things, okay? You've got casual and you got rugged, okay? And casual, that also falls into bespoke and everything else. It's basically, are you going to be sweating? Are you going to be knocking things around, working? That is the rugged thing.
Changing a transmission in your engine.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Or casual. Are you just going to the office? Are you a lawyer? Are you in a vertical industry type of thing?
Are you going clubbing with friends?
Are you going clubbing? Are you, the bespoke side? So that's the two areas that I look at. And really, for me, nylon is rugged. Like that, I heavily lean on NATOs or RAF single pass-throughs or something like that, because for me, a watch strap is part of the watch tooliness as it is. Like if I'm hiking, I'm probably going to be hiking with either a Toxic NATO's Subterry, or I'm going to be hiking with a new strap that I just got out of the UK, which is a Zulu Alpha strap, Subdarren. And that is because I am in interesting predicaments, and I want to make sure that watch stays on me.
Yes.
Whereas, typically speaking, like something that relies on spring bars, or if it's a leather strap and stuff, if it gets cut, if it gets dinged up, it's not the best tool for the job.
It's a glaring reminder about something that was perfect, kind of like that little broken glass on your iPhone or your Android phone that you're looking at every time, multiple times a day. So you want to take care of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm wearing a Nomos glass chute, thank you very much, I am not going to be taking it into the weight room with me,
right,
as I'm banging around some weights and metal everywhere, metal bars everywhere.
So I typically equate watch straps as tires on a vehicle. The watch head is the vehicle itself, but when it's snow season, like here in Bellingham right now, you swap out your tires for studded tires.
Yeah.
Okay, to go, for buying or just to get to work these days. But versus in the summer, you're just normal street tires and you're all good. So let's kick it off with what's the first straps that you want to hit up?
Well, let's go with something we've talked about on a number of episodes, the NATO strap, or also the G10 style. So for those of you that are like me, that are part of the watch fam and don't really know the in-depth story about a NATO strap. I mean, full disclosure, AJ is like, you need the strap for this watch. And he gives me this wonderful gray and black strap, which I'm thinking, oh, cool. All right. Sounds good. Strap. Is it the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO? Not exactly.
Not quite.
Not exactly. There, we have I put a link to a wonderful article called The Fascinating and Humble History of the NATO Watch Strap. I believe it was from gearpatrol.com. So anyway, in this article, which gives you a great background, these straps initially came from the British Ministry of Defense.
Or MOD.
MOD, exactly. And for soldiers to get a strap for their watch when they're in active duty, they had to fill out a form known as the G1098, or, as in all military abbreviations, they shortened it to G10. Hello. And from there, they only had one type of strap. It's like Henry Ford. You can have any color you want as long as it's black. In this case, the MOD, you down with MOD?
I'm down with MOD.
You know me. They only made Admiralty Gray, naturally, because that's how the British Ministry of Defense rolls. It was 20 millimeters in width with chrome-plated brass buckling keepers. That is a term.
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's cool. Needed to be functional and fail-safe because when you're in precarious predicaments.
Yes.
Thank you very much. You needed to have it stay on your wrist and not become a casualty of war. In the event that a spring bar breaks, which on my wrist, I've had three watches that I've lost because I'm walking and I'm a fairly active arm mover, and something happens and I look at my wrist and I don't have my watch on. And mercifully, I didn't have this happen to the SKX 007, but this was in the past.
Yeah.
And I see that the NATO strap, as I'm examining this, is like, oh, this is a great fail-safe.
Right.
Dig it. So, but the NATO G10 strap really came into zeitgeist popularity with James Bond, my man Sean Connery, probably the only Bond that really is relevant. In Goldfinger, he wore evidently a 6538 Submariner, also known as a Big Crown.
Yeah, the Big Crown.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a very unique striped nylon strap. What the heck is this? That everyone in the theaters were gawking at James Bond looking at his time. Yeah. It turns out that this striped strap was affectionately known as the Bond NATO. It's kind of like whenever some Hollywood actress wears this fine-looking dress, it now becomes a popular couture for the rest of us. But anyway, a little bit of history about the origins of the NATO G10 strap. So with that in mind, here we go again, folks, longtime listeners of the Bellingham podcast. This is not something that you want to be economical about purchasing a NATO strap.
No. So there's two reasons why. Because if you go up onto the Fleabay and you buy a cheap...
Fleabay?
Yes.
Okay. We'll roll with that. Go ahead.
If you go up to the Fleabay and you buy the cheapest $2.88 NATO, yes, I looked it up this morning.
Shipping from overseas, if
Shipping
you will.
from overseas, it will take you at least 30 to 45 days to get it.
Right.
Here's the thing. In that time when you get it, one, you could have gotten something here either in the United States or even in the UK or other places that have better quality. You know who the person is who designed it and created it. And kind of like we talked about several episodes ago, we were talking about bags and stuff and denier as a weight of nylon. Mm-hmm. The weight of nylon, you do not want to wear a cheap NATO that is the cheapest, lowest grade nylon there is for two reasons. One, it's not going to hold up. It's kind of like cheap clothes. You wash it a few times, it's going to fall apart. The second thing is, to quote Terry from Toxic NATOs, it's going to feel like a garbage bag on your wrist.
Well said.
Okay.
Indeed.
The higher the weave, it's going to be more comfortable. And
it's
again,
like bed sheets. The higher the percal, the more comfier your night's sleep.
Bingo.
Uh-huh.
So that's the reason why I usually yes, and we all do it. We all kind of, if you're first getting into watches and you're like, maybe you don't even know if you like NATO straps, you're going to throw down on a cheap NATO. Totally. But for that next one, that's where you're going to want to, it's not that big of a jump, honestly. Like, yes, it's a big jump with regards to like $3 and waiting a month to get your strap versus like, $20 or $30 for the strap. But it's going to last and it's going to be comfy.
Oh, yeah. You find a watch strap that resonates with you, that speaks to you, that every time you're going to look at your wrist. And how many times do we look at our wrist to see what time it is?
Well, it depends on the person.
Yeah, or our level of boredom.
Yeah.
But in some cases, you want to look at that like, okay, it's 11:40, for example, but that's a nice strap. I like that.
Which also, looking at the time, you might be listening to us on Camry 102.3 FM.
Low power.
Community radio here in the heart of the non-NATO city of subdued excitement.
Excellent. All right. So we talked about the NATO G10 strap. There's another kind that I really enjoy in many other types of accessories, but leather.
Yes.
So let's talk about leather for a little bit.
So leather, like as I'm looking at your wrist, you are wearing a very bespoke watch strap made by EA8.
Yes, and I love it. Thank you very much. This is I wear this proudly to the nonprofit benefit galas around our fair city.
Nice.
And flash this around as I am hobnobbing with the attendees of the event. So thank you, EA8, for this awesome black strap. Yeah, I love it.
So in the leather world, like especially here in the U.S., the word Horween gets thrown around a lot. What is it?
Horween is actually the name of the Horween Leather Company based in Chicago, Illinois. The Horween Leather Company is one of the oldest continuous running tanneries in the U.S. They were founded in 1905, celebrating their 114th anniversary this year. Pretty much they are the standard of leather for sports equipment, sports and casual footwear, bags, wallets, briefcases, blah, blah, blah. They are the exclusive supplier of National Football League footballs.
Now that I didn't know until this recording.
I think a quarterback for the New England Patriots is aware of the leather's inflatability in some cases. Yes. So, and also the National Basketball Association basketballs are get their leather supplied by the Horween Leather Company. It's not just a term.
Right. Or a type of cow.
Good point.
I've had that's like, I've never seen a Horween cow.
No. But anyway, made in America.
Yeah.
It works particularly well as a strap material for both vintage and new watches.
Yeah.
They got you covered.
Right. Totally. So in the next part of it, we're going to kind of go through the goods list, which is these are brands that either, full disclosure, either A, we have, B, have been given straps from, or C, are looking at and probably will be probably getting a strap or two from them.
Yeah, no, we're fans of these coming up suppliers, and they're part of the watch fam, and they, we don't. We vet them.
Yes.
We do research on them. We check out the reviews, and we, often engage with them on the social media.
Right.
In a lot of ways, we believe they are the goods, to quote our moniker. But also we're trying to help you avoid the 100 million results you'll get in a Google search when you type in watch strap.
Bingo.
All right, hit it.
So at the top, I'm going to talk about Zulu Alpha Strap. Run by a fine gentleman over in the UK by the name of Darren. He actually sent me one of his straps, and it's a very unique strap because it is nylon, but it is not like a NATO. And what's interesting about this strap is the story behind how he came about it, which actually you'll hear in the mini-series. We talked to somebody else in the UK, a little teaser there, that talks a little bit about how Darren came about this. But what's cool about it is he is upcycling rifle slings.
Oh.
So he's former British military, and he basically got his first cool watch, and he didn't like the landscape of watch straps. And so being a tinker as he was cleaning out his garage or something, or loft, and he found some of these old rifle slings, and he thought to himself, what if I made something that would be up to my spec?
There you go.
And insert British accent, I'm presuming here.
We don't want to attempt that.
Yeah. And so what's interesting about his strap is it is a single pass-through, so it's not like a NATO that has the double loop underneath. So it passes through, but the buckle is a tri-glide buckle, which is basically, if you're in the sup hikers, if you're used to having a double D buckle, think about like a double D buckle but squared off with a bar in between one of them. And so what you get is when you pass through the nylon, you pull it against that bar, and that bar slides against the buckle, so you get a friction fit. So you don't have holes. And what's cool about that is you get a comfortable feel on your wrist. And two, it's tough as nails. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit skeptical. Even though, like, I know, like, obviously the strap used to be, and the buckle used to be on a weapon, so of course it's gonna hold weight. So I recently took it out on a trek, because of course we vet things.
Yes.
So I took it out on a trek, went up north to Mission, British Columbia, did a very simple hike up to a waterfall up there, and my son was with me, and it has been slick in the Pacific Northwest lately.
Yes.
We went up there when it was ice. Seeing a waterfall with ice is killer, by the way. And we're on the trail and stuff, and so I'm helping my toddler. And he, of course, that's his big thing right now. He wants to do things on his own. Hops up on this little log that's up on the trail, and of course it was slick. He slides down, grabs Dad, of course, grabs my watch with his little hands, and literally yoinks it. It was like a Mission Impossible scene for a little toddler. Dun, 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 dun. He's hanging on to my watch head and strap, and I'm like, okay, well, at least the strap can at least hold 27.5 pounds.
That's a testament to its durability.
Exactly. And that's something that I mentioned before. Like, I see my watch as a tool and stuff. And that test right there immediately put that strap on the goods list.
Right on.
Because that friction fit did pull against it, and my toddler was fine. Everyone, it was fine. We're talking a little log,
yes.
Big log to a toddler,
sure.
Little log to a human. But it was an interesting test. But what's really cool about it is, like I said, just the story. He makes every strap. Like, this is not something he is sourcing. It's a UK strap by a UK guy. If you go up on his Instagram, which he's at Zulu Alpha Straps on Instagram, he'll even show like how he does the blackening of the buckles. Like, he dips it in oil, like flash heats it with like a torch, dunks it into like a gallon of oil or whatever to blacken the hardware if you so choose. So again, kind of like EA8, like, these are creators and makers that are very open about their process, and you get a very cool handcrafted unique strap.
And how impressive is it that you get to see your strap in process, or how the process is that eventually arrives in your mailbox.
Right.
For that. Next one we have on the list is this strap code is not not just for NATOs. They have a great supply of metal bands, because there are a number of us in the watch fam that like that.
The bracelets.
The bracelet of that silver, gold, whatever have you. They've got a really good supply of metal bands for your timepiece.
Yeah, and they also have the links that they use and stuff. Like they have different styles. Like there's like like the Submariner style or the engineering style. Like they have different styles of bracelets. I've never used one, full disclosure. I know a lot of people who have, and they're kind of the great starting off point because also they're very cost effective. Bracelets on watches are always a little bit pricier, and take a look at how the bracelet is created. Like you don't want the little chiclet, very hollow, linky kind of thing where it's like jingle, 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 jingle. That's kind of the lower end. That's the things that you'll find on the flea bay. But also like take a look at how are they polished, how are they rounded, because anyone who's worn a watch with a bracelet, a bad bracelet, and if you're a hairy guy, kind of like Chris Powell and myself, these are notorious for like ripping out arm hairs. So again, you kind of like getting a quality NATO, you're getting what you're paying for in a good bracelet.
Absolutely. What's next?
Worn and Wound's adapt strap, ADPT strap. We actually broke, this was one of the few news pieces that our show has done. Like the moment that Worn and Wound announced it, I think we recorded within like 30 minutes beforehand. So like I like to say that we broke the news for Worn and Wound. Sup guys?
Hello.
Anyway, the adapt strap is really cool because made in America. The cool thing about it is they're the acronym of what adapt stands for, which is
all day purpose and terrain.
And these straps, they're tough as nails. I know somebody who has one. And this kind of bridges the ruggedness and casualness, because typically a lot of NATOs, you have a long tail and you have to loop it around. And they kind of do a very elegant way. It's a little bit shorter strap so that, you get the versatility of it being nylon, but you can wear it at the office and it doesn't scream, I'm going trekking.
Dare we invoke the term hybrid?
I think so.
Okay.
That's why I have it on the list.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I think they're a good hybrid, and also their colorways are great. They've even got a cool green one. I think they call it Sage. Don't quote me on that one. I forgot.
All right. Well, check out the site that we have the link in there for for their supply. Don't forget EA8 Leather Goods, and we have a link to the Instagram page, which has some fine photography for these straps that are created by hand. Yeah. In there.
Yep, and thanks again, EA8, for sending the straps that you did to Chris and I.
Absolutely.
Terry at Toxic NATOs. Need I say more?
One of the few people that in our 112 episodes has given an intro to this show. Yeah. We dig it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have to go on and on about Terry. And Terry is the goods. We all know it. And the thing that I like to always point out, and you'll hear it in my interview with him, when it comes to NATO straps, Toxic is kind of the benchmark. Like once you have one of his straps, you quickly find out what is a cheap NATO and what is a different kind of NATO beyond his. And it's just simple. It's as simple as that. Like he's very upfront about what he does, how he does it, and why he does it. And
so 50% of my strap collection is from Toxic NATOs. Yeah. And that word that I don't want to say because I don't want to be responsible for a naughty word.
Shiznit is fine.
It is?
You
sure about this?
I haven't checked with the FCC, but we haven't had any problems with it.
Hey, FCC, if you have any
let's not call the FCC. Okay, let's stop that. Stop drawing attention.
Anyway, I have two Toxic NATO, that word straps, which have been rock solid. I love rock solid items and thoroughly enjoy the comfort and style that exists with. And those are my hybrid. I will take them to the event, the foofy event. I will take them to the rough and tumble activities, and they're still holding strong.
Totally.
Next.
Somebody who is very near and dear to my heart, and she always has an open place on the Bellingham podcast if she ever wants to have an interview.
True that.
Hey, Erica.
Hi, Erica.
Erica's Originals, MN Strap. I have said on the record time and time again on this show, her straps are my favorite strap in the world.
That's saying a lot, though.
Yeah, I love a lot about her design. I love pretty much. She's just the goods. I like the whole story of what the Marine Nationale is and how she built it into her thing. The one thing I want to throw out is she also has a lot of patents around the design of her strap. And recently, I have discovered that there are a lot of knockoffs. Just bear in mind, I'm not a fan of knockoff products. And especially if it's coming from a small creator.
Yeah.
You know, you're taking away from somebody who put in the time and effort to create this. Go to the source. Yes, you pay a premium for it because it's her design.
I would think the watch fam would have standards higher than going for something affordable.
Totally.
And for what it's worth, if you go to Erica's Originals website, of which we have a link in the show notes, I have really... I'm keeping my good eye on the Black Ops, naturally, MN strap in the all black. I love the loom line that's
the one that I've got.
Yes, that is really tasty.
It is.
But here's my personality, and I have really grown to embrace my inner all black everything in my accessories, and so I'm keeping an eye on that.
Yeah,
and I have a less than a handful of straps. Might need to include the thumb.
I'm warning you right now. If you go with an MN strap, you're gonna. I will be curious to hear your review of it.
Once you go MN, you won't go back.
I think so. Like I said, I equate it to her straps are the comfy hoodie that you wear on a Saturday morning as you make a cup of coffee. Like, it just fits like a glove.
We'll see what happens after the springtime or the summertime. We may have some recollections back to that, but we love all these straps.
Yeah,
we love all the makers of these straps. Make no mistake.
Yeah. And also, my full disclosure with there is I have purchased one of her straps, the Red Line Vintage, and then she also sent me one, which was the MN Loom line.
How very generous. Next on the list is Haveston.
So Haveston is... I've seen them in pictures, but I haven't got my hands on one, but I'm really interested in them. There's the Carrier A2 strap, which is stands for the Alteration 2, and it's original design. It's an original design, but it's an homage to the 1943 U.S. Navy tricolor camouflage scheme from the carrier-based aircrafts of World War II. I just think it is just a cool colorway, and it looks like a killer strap.
Absolutely, and here's news to me. Breaking news for myself. There are more colors than black.
Wait. You just now figured that out?
And I love, in looking at the design, there's attention to the product.
Yeah.
And I really applaud Haveston for having the shout out to our World War II fighter planes on those carrier ships. And what a great way to have that remembrance for what's going on. Crown and buckle. So I've had crown and buckle on my radar for eons, and my birthday rolled around this month, and my wife was so lovely to order me a crown and buckle chevron strap. And the chevron is what I actually have on right now. This is like my favorite strap to wear around the office, honestly. I've got I think they call it the Night with Harvest line. So basically, Night is basically a weave. It's not a normal NATO strap, and it's actually not a NATO strap. It's a single pass. What's cool about this is if you're ever familiar with the Tudor Black Bay straps that Tudor gets out of, I think it's a French company who actually weaves the strap, their fabric straps. This is in a very similar vein where they weave black and blue together to get this night color, and then you can also get it with a line in the center, kind of like the MN straps, where it comes in green, red, or this kind of khaki, I think they call it harvest. More for your personality.
Yeah, and that's what I chose. I also got brushed hardware as opposed to polished hardware. But what's cool about this strap that I like, much like the Tudor Black Bay straps, is if you notice, the keepers are it's one single piece of fabric, and the keepers, there's one keeper that's attached to the very end where the buckle is, and then there's one floating keeper. So when you adjust this, you get a perfect fit where it's not too loose or too tight. You still have to poke it through a hole and such, but it is the closest nylon strap that I've had that is close to the form and fit that I like in a Marine Nationale strap.
We do realize that you are listening to us on this show.
I am describing the best I can, okay?
Fair enough.
But no, anyway, the crown and buckle chevron strap, if you're looking for an all-around office strap that also, if you're a little bit active, my wife was so nice to get me one.
Sounds like that could run as a daily driver.
It's quickly become that, honestly. Yeah. So yeah.
And tell me about Blue Shark. This is a new one to me.
Yeah, Blue Shark. So Blue Shark is another watch strap company. They make a lot of different nylon straps, kind of a NATO homage to like the Marine Nationale strap. That's how I found out about them. What's interesting about Blue Shark, and I don't have one. I've only seen them in photos, but there's one called the Alpha Shark Slim, which looks like if you're somebody who likes the shiznit, but maybe your head end of your watch is a little bit thicker and you wish it was a little bit closer to your wrist.
Sure.
I think the slim is kind of that seatbelty material, but with a lower millimeter. I don't know how thick Terry does the seatbelt material, but
thick enough to be approved by Chris Powell.
Oh yeah, the thing is rugged as heck.
That's right.
But if you have a thicker watch and you wish it had a little bit thinner presence on your wrist, I think that's what this would do. Again, I don't have one, but I just wanted to throw it out.
And also, as we're going through all of these straps, we like variety.
Oh, yes.
As the French say, vive la différence.
Yes.
And here's a cornucopia of all these awesome vendors, all of these makers to hand them your money.
Yeah.
Take my money now and upgrade, level up your current watch and or timepiece.
Real simple, the Watch Steward.
Yes.
The Watch Steward, I found him on Instagram a while back, perfect for Seikos. But what's cool about this one is the material looks like to be something similar to a Marine Nationale strap, but instead of it going underneath the head end, it actually loops back over your wrist. Think of it as the parachute webbing type of material where it goes in between both sides of your watch on the spring bars so that the metal part is back on your wrist and it loops back underneath and doubles under your wrist. Keeps the head end a little bit closer to your wrist if that's kind of your style or if you have a thicker watch. And meanwhile, getting that comfort form and function of the stretchy material. I don't have one. I'm kind of eyeballing it.
Yes.
But it's kind of like the Americanized version of like an MN strap in how I would describe it.
And then also near and dear to my heart, since I only have an SKX 007, is Uncle Seiko.
So Uncle Seiko or bracelets. I don't know much about them. I just know that if you are looking for a bracelet alternative, you go to Uncle Seiko.
It's the source.
It's kind of the source. And I just want to throw them out because if you're in that vein of having more metal,
yes,
take a look at Uncle Seiko.
And I am a fan of metal.
Yeah.
In many ways. So check them out.
Yeah. So that is the BHAM Podcast roundup of watch straps.
The landscape is now complete. Let's wrap this show up.
That wraps it up for this edition of the Bellingham Podcast. Thank you again so much for listening to us, rating us, reviewing us, wherever you like to get your podcast. Remember, if you're in the Bellingham area, you might be listening to us terrestrially on KMRE 102.3 FM.
Low power.
Community radio here in the heart of the city by the Salish Sea. And on that strapped for time note, TikTok, I'm AJ Barsay.
And I'm Chris Powell. Thanks very much for joining us here on the Bellingham Podcast. And stay tuned for a mini-series coming up soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Sup, watch fam.
It'll be a blast.